Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, another season is in the books. The 2023 Jets finished 7-10. They beat Bill Belichick in a snow game in what could be his last game as a Patriot. They have the 10th overall pick in the draft. They have many decisions to make regarding free agents, most notably Bryce Huff. And Matt, we have to figure out now for the next however many months how this team is going to try to win a Super Bowl in 2024 with Aaron Rodgers.
Mike, it was a gross year. It was an underwhelming year, but that's the fun thing about sports is that you can wipe your hands of it, move on to bigger and better things. And a lot of years will end, Mike. And I don't see a true scenario where, like, what is our need? Do we have the right, we know the need. Get a veteran quarterback, get another receiver, fix the O-line. If you do those things, I think even with Sal being the head coach, and we'll get into it, I think the Jets can be a playoff team, and that's the goal.
Right.
Do you want to start with the game yesterday, or do we want to talk about the press conferences today? And
well,
before
I do want to ask one question.
Go.
It's a hypothetical question, but it could be literal. It's if the Jets take an offensive tackle with their first-round pick, sign two other offensive linemen, like you mentioned, and then sign or either trade for Devontae Adams or sign one of the top three wide receiver free agents, meaning T. Higgins, Mike Evans, or Michael Pittman. What are the Jets' odds to win the Super Bowl in 2024?
I think they'll have the seventh best odds to win.
Yes,
I do.
Something like that. Yeah.
And hey, if you are here and you enjoyed us on Twitter throughout 2023, you're getting into the YouTube, channel game. Go ahead and hit subscribe. DM us if you want to join the Discord for the diehard Broadway Jet fans out there. But Mike, it's been a lot of fun. We had a good 2023. I put out the year-end recap video, the Key and Peele skit, which is my favorite video to make every year. And then that has like 2 million views on Twitter. So that was a good one.
Did the celebration. He did do it. Dude, I was like, what the fuck is Sauce doing? And then we started texting him like, he did it.
The fact that my dumb brain found a meme 3 years ago that I'm like, I'm going to use this for every year in recap. And I usually wait till after all the games end, but it's so crazy post-game and the final week of the year, everyone's tweeting. I don't want it to get lost. So I did it on Wednesday, and then they get the turnover, Tony Adams pick, and they did the celebration. I need the full cut because it didn't look great the first time they did it. But holy hell, I think that clears for me my favorite personal NYJ Matt moment over the Adam Gase Lincoln High School. I actually think this is cooler. I was very, very excited to see that they did it.
Yeah, dude, listen, Sauce, and it's also not a negative. Well, the funny thing about the video is the nature of the video.
Right.
If someone hasn't seen it, is the Key and Peele meme where he's like dapping up he's the president, he's dapping up half the people and then formally shaking hands with the other half of the people. And so like half of the things have to be negative. So all the players were acknowledging it, and it's like, you're like, the offensive line sucks. It's like they saw it. Yeah. But it's amazing, dude. And for Sauce, for the Jets defense to do that celebration in the game is unbelievable.
I was trying to explain it to like my dad. He's like, I don't get what you're talking about. Like, it's a really cool thing that happened. I made a video, and he was like, I don't like, what are you talking about? But we'll start with the game. I have a very strong take on the Douglas and Sal press conferences, so stick around for that. The game itself, snow game, like horrible first quarter. Like no team could even move. And then the Jets on the back of Breece Hall, on the back of a very strong defense, beat Bill Belichick, sent him home in hopefully his final game as a Patriot head coach with a loss. And I don't care if I tell my kids 30 years from now, yeah, he beat us like 35 out of 40 times. We beat him the final time. So I will draft pick aside. We'll get to that too.
It was funny. I like moral victories. I do. I've been talking about them. I've been masking moral victories as other things, but they're moral victories if they don't matter. This one, it's funny because Belichick beat us 15 in a row. It's like either we're 0-16 or 1-15 in those 16 games coming into Sunday. So if the Jets lost, it's fine. But I thought Sunday was a fun game. It's fun to watch Brees Hall touch the ball 39 times. When Garrett Wilson got hurt, second worst thing that could have happened in that game. That sucked. But
Yeah.
he did make a cool catch earlier. Just snow football's the best. Reminds you of all the Steelers 2010 game with the Sanchez bootleg. They played another snow game the week after against the Bears. You have the famous Curtis Martin Jets Steelers game that finished 6-0 in 2003. So just anytime we think of snow, you'll think of this game now. Brees running through the snow. You can hear Chris Berman, the frozen tundra, even though that's not the right stadium. But it was fun. I enjoyed the game. Defense is unbelievable. It was nice, Matt, that the defense let up 3 points to end the season to help out the stats a little bit and like no yards. Finished third overall in yards, Matt. The Jets defense. Third. And that's with the 25th ranked rushing defense. So
Incredibly impressive year. And there's a narrative that forms around the Jets defense is overrated. And I just completely disagree with that take. You have an elite cornerback trio. You have safeties that on paper, not the best, but that just consistently force turnovers. I mean, Whitehead, Adams, and Davis have to have top 3 in the NFL in safety turnovers. They're insane. And
they had 10 combined interceptions, the 3 of those guys. 14 and 22 passes defended, plus a fumble. 3 they had and then 3 fumble recoveries. So it's a lot of stuff.
And if you tell me the Jets defense is overrated, I counter with that point. The safeties force turnovers. You have 2 high-end linebackers, an all-pro in my opinion, in Quincy Williams and Mosley had a good year. You have guys on the edge like Jermaine, like Huff.
Mosley could have had 10 picks. He dropped another pick on Sunday.
He dropped another one. Quinnen, if your counterpoint is, hey, their run defense wasn't good enough this year, or they maybe broke down in inopportune times, I get it. The Jets still have a top 5 NFL defense, and you can hang your hat on that.
It's legit top 5, Matt. Legit top 5.
Yeah, and most of those guys are coming back next year. The Huff, I don't think he's coming back, Mike.
So you look at a list of the 2024 Jets free agents, guys that are free agents going into next year. Huff is by far the main dude. You have a decision to make with guys like Ashton Davis, Mekhi Becton, who was horrific this year, but the Jets obviously need bodies on the line. What are they going to do with Huff, Matt? Someone tweeted at him and said, Bryce Huff is not taking anything less than $17 million a year, and he was like, "That was Raj," and he was like, "That's right." And Raj was like, "I think I set the market."
Unbelievable.
I don't know, because also you have a decision. You could move JFM inside, or you can cut JFM, who had a good year. I don't know. It's going to be hard to keep all those guys together. But he's the real one main free agent that the Jets have going into next year.
Yeah, it's tough. Douglas said today that he hasn't even thought about the tag yet on him and just wants to take it day by day.
What would the tag be? Like $20 million, something like that?
I don't even know. I think he'll be gone. I do. I don't think he should be gone. If you extended him, if they did the JFM type extension 8 weeks ago, you lock him in for 2.5, 3 years. Like that didn't happen. They didn't do it. They drafted Will McDonald.
That's the issue, Matt.
A lot of people are down on Will McDonald too, and I get it. But again, can you wait until that sophomore jump that maybe he can have that Jermaine did?
I thought McDonald was good when he played. He ended with 3 sacks, which is nice. He didn't really
had one yesterday, and I don't even remember what he did. I'm trying to remember he got credited with one yesterday. I was looking after the game, and I was like, I don't remember McDonald having a sack.
Yeah, it did feel like when he was in the game, you would see him doing stuff. It did. But and Matt, this is what my take is. I don't think, not that this is a crazy take, I don't think the Jets thought that Huff was going to be this good last year. Because last year Huff was good and was making an impact and getting pressures, but not generating so many sacks, which is the Jets' philosophy. Remember when they signed Carl Lawson and they didn't try to sign a guy like Trey Hendrickson, or maybe they did, but they didn't get him, who was more production-based. Carl Lawson looked at the straight-up pressures, and there was a lot, and it looked like he was impacting the game. And I'm sure he would have been better if he didn't get hurt. But I don't think – why would the Jets have taken McDonald at that spot if you have Jermaine and Huff? It just seemed like that was the move, Yeah,
and
it was to replace Huff. And now Huff has a great year, and what do you do?
I know, and I think Saleh even said it himself. They viewed Huff as a true passing down guy, and then they kept adding more to his plate. each and every week now and getting more reps out there. And he's proven that he can handle his own against the run. We'll probably talk about Huff in its own episode probably moving forward.
That is the difference, though, Matt. One thing before we move on is, and I'm the one that has to leave, not yet, but we have a lot of time. But the Huff run stopping ability, like, is he like think about Max Crosby or TJ Watt or all these guys who you see Huff's name with up when it shows the QB pressures or even sacks at this point. I don't know if he's that kind of run stopper or like impact player. Like you're going to pay this guy $18-19 million a year. He has to be a complete player.
Yeah. And if he goes on the market for $20 million, I think Jets fans will still be disappointed, and I get that. Yeah. And that's what I'm more mad at Douglas not giving him $20 million. Is that you didn't extend him, and we were all begging you to do it during midseason. But like the game ends, and the Jets go from picking 8th to 10th, and they could have picked 6th with a loss. I think it's pretty 50-50 split, if I'm being honest, amongst the fan base. What I would say is I get fans saying, are we going to remember that game 5-6 months from now? Outside the Belichick narrative and breaking the streak, probably not. And you have a way better chance of getting one of the 3 tackles, one of the wide receivers you might covet at 6. I completely get that. But watching them after the game and the idea that we're still going to be talking about the what if years from now is I think you can put it to bed. You can have your take. Yep, we should have lost the game. Now let's move forward into the 2024 draft and not talk in 2025 about we missed out on Alt and we got Neighbors because of. I think we can put it to bed. It happened. They play to win. The Patriots are god awful. They're a garbage team.
When you beat them by 2 scores, it was nice. Yeah, it was nice. You want your team to win those games. Even look, and then the Texans example from last year keeps coming around, where the Texans won the most meaningless game ever, week 18 of last year, which moved them out of the 1 spot. So they didn't get Stroud. They didn't get Bryce, and they got Stroud instead.
Yep.
And look how it turned out. So who knows? Maybe the Jets will take one of these tackles, and he'll be better than the other tackles. What if they got a little bit of a worse pick in 2019 and they took Wirfs instead of Becton? Because they had to. It would have just worked out. So, it is what it is. Obviously, you want a better pick. It's not a debate, but it's just
it is.
You also don't want to start 4-3 and then finish the season 5-12 because it's just a disaster. Poor Saleh, who has many faults of his own, but poor Saleh has to go out every week and be like, "Hey guys, this is the game plan. Like, feeling really good about it. But I'm going to be back next year," and then you lose fucking 9 out of 10. It's tough.
I really have more frustration, Mike, with Joe Douglas than Robert Saleh. I think that's kind of a hot take. If I want to talk about positives of Saleh, his fingerprints are all over a top 5 defense in the NFL. The players want to play for him. He has energy.
And the Jets did change the culture. They did. Feels like you're not getting Rodgers in here if there's no quote unquote culture change.
Yeah, and Rodgers builds to that culture too. I think. Yeah. Like the 2022 culture, I don't think is as good as what it was in 2023, and I think it builds on each year. I really liked Saleh's game management in 2022. We talked about it a lot. When he wanted to punt, we were like, probably the right time. Go for it. Go. 2023, the timeouts, the going for it, especially the Browns game was a disaster class.
The Browns punting was bad.
Historically bad, like 99th percentile, go for it. And
I still make fun of Todd Bowles about till this day. So bad. Because I usually agree with Saleh's clock management, which when we're texting during the game. But that was bad.
And this year fell apart. I really think he struggled, and it might be overthinking it. It might be the chaos of the moment. But Mike, the other thing that really can't happen is pre-snap penalties or the inability to change your offensive game plan. You are a head coach. You have every right to tell Hackett, we're going to run the ball 35 fucking times today. Yeah. We're going to get Zach Wilson out of the pocket where he's better to throw on you can do that as a head coach. And he was inflexible. And Mike, those are my biggest negatives on him. Not the guy who's in the commercial brushing his teeth. It's just
no, I think he's a good man. I think he's a good man.
Yeah.
It's which we did not think Adam Gase was a good man. That was like our biggest issue with Gase, and he's an evil human. Solid, may not be the greatest coach, but he's a good man. He's established good principles. He's a little bit of a player's coach.
Yeah.
Guys take some liberties. They do some stupid shit. We got to cut it out. But I think a lot of these small issues where like people are like Rodgers can't mask all of the issues the Jets have. No, you have to go get more offensive linemen and another receiver. But the issues that Rodgers can mask are all these small, detailed things that are magnified when you can't score for 40 straight drives, or you're losing 13-8 to the Falcons with Tim Boyle, shit like that. So I'm so high on next year, Matt. Wait, tell me more about the press conferences, because I didn't really listen to either of them. I got your synopsis. I got a couple things online.
Yeah. So the solid one was a nothing burger. It is what it is. Kind of like
We've heard him talk 1,000 times. Yeah, it's like Douglas is the interesting one.
Douglas started really well, in my opinion, and it crashed after. So he starts with saying, I assumed he would say, oh, I love how our guys battled through adversity. It was a tough year. It's not where we wanted to be. And instead, he said, back-to-back years now, we faced adversity and failed. I need to do a better job of when we face adversity, because everyone's going to face it, to win. And I know we need to win. My record is not good enough. And I'm reading the updates because the Jets, of course, don't put the live one on YouTube, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't do that, but
they do it after for the year, and whatever. It's ridiculous. So I see that quote. I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to get a different, not coach or GM speak. And then, Mike, it falls back to the Dalvin Cook, 2020. It's 2020 hindsight. Why didn't you get a better veteran quarterback? We thought we had a good plan. Everything in hindsight is 2020.
See, that's the one that's such bullshit. That's not hindsight. He didn't do anything. There was no plan. What was the plan? To just start Zach Wilson until he failed?
Was to have Zach sit behind Aaron and learn.
Yeah, that's not a plan for what happened.
He could have done that as a QB3. They actually could have done that.
He should have. That was the point. He went against his own plan. His own plan was making Zach sit no matter what. And then when Rodgers got hurt, he didn't get another guy for Zach to sit.
It's horrific.
He didn't do it.
The hindsight 2020 quote, as a GM, to use that 2 to 3 times in a press conference, not good. The other thing is that we don't need to make a foundational change, but we need to make several tweaks. Give me specific. Tell me exactly what you need to change. Do you need to change your process of internal review of your team, free agents, the draft, the scouting, the in-game management? What tweak is it? What you're eating for breakfast. Give me something specific instead of saying an overarching. We gotta make a tweak or two. Yeah. What about injuries? Every year, your team has the highest amount of injuries. Maybe a tweak is getting new turf, getting new athletic department. Do something, but tell me. Give me a specific. And of course, the Jets beat when he says we gotta make a few tweaks. They go, okay. How do you think Tim Boyle played? Why would you not follow up?
Especially we're dying to know these answers, and it's where was the backup plan? Where was it? We didn't follow the plan. No shit, you didn't have a plan, and then your quote unquote backup plan, which was to play Zach, went directly against your actual plan. Very frustrating. Now I didn't watch the thing. You're giving me and I read some quotes, but my interpretation of what happened is that Douglas, and I don't necessarily disagree with this, but it's annoying, is that Douglas is trying, without saying it, to say that the Jets are in a good spot and a couple pieces away, without saying that. And but my main issue with this is that they kind of were in the same spot last year, and then they got Rodgers, and they had these holes to fill, and they didn't fill them correctly. So now you have the same situation. You have Rodgers, you have all the defense, same couple holes to fill. Why are we going to believe that Joe Douglas is going to fill these holes correctly? We shouldn't after last year, but that's the spot that they're in.
I know.
And I am very excited about next year, and for that reason, but it's you just whiffed on everybody, including the guys that we wanted. We wanted Cook, whiff. I don't know, the rest of the offseason. Rodgers is 100% the best move that he could possibly have made.
Post Rodgers trade, it fell apart. Nothing he did worked. Nothing.
Will McDonald's in the draft, which is fine, and he could be great. looks stupid because Huff is great now, and now what do? The Lazard sucked. Dalvin Cook sucked. We wanted Cook. Hackett sucked. They didn't get an offensive lineman. Corey Davis retired. Like, tough.
What do you think? Because Zach Wilson will be traded within the next 3 months. What do you think the Zach Wilson compensation would be?
Listen, he's very talented. He played more normal this year than usual. You can't. I think he should be a fifth or sixth round pick somewhere, and he should be a backup quarterback. The thing with us is it just didn't click. And like, I honestly wonder, like, I don't think the Jets record would be that much better if, say, Simeon started all year. But I know Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson would have more catches. I don't know. It just felt like the offense would operate a little bit more normally, and they would more consistently have found a way to score 14 points. Not even like 17 or 20 points, but like 14 points than they did without Zach.
Dude, I agree 100%. And I forgot to bring up the Hackett press conference last week. If I was Woody Johnson, I'd throw the television out the window. He said two things that I think are fireable on the spot. One, he didn't know how effective Breece Hall was catching out of the backfield. Like, maybe.
What does that even mean? Oh, because he said, like, he's like, we've been trying to implement this later. Like, yeah, you just realized?
Yeah. Fireable. The other one's worse. Someone asked him, what did you learn the most in 2023? And he said, change can happen, or something along the, like, be ready for change. You are a grown man. Your dad's been in the NFL forever. You've been in the NFL for like 20 years. That is what you took away in 2023, that things can change, that you can lose a quarterback, and then all the receivers stayed healthy. Offensive line was decimated, but that is your response, Mike. It's just he's
learning. Yeah, I don't know. I'll say there was one pro that I was going to give for the Jets coaching staff yesterday. That is a microcosm of the whole season, where I didn't think they were going to do this, but they did, and Breece was like 10 yards short of 1,000, and the Jets had the ball with 20 seconds left, and they were going to just need the ball. And they gave Breece a handoff. And like, that is fucking awesome. Because I'm like texting people, I'm like, just hand it off. Just hand it. And they did it. I was like, fuck yeah. But then they thought that he had the yards and he was short.
They cut to Belichick. They cut to Belichick, and Belichick looked pissed that they were doing it. And I was with you. I'm like, they need 10 more yards.
First of all, go fuck himself. They should have called both timeouts and ran it twice, and then injured a player on the Patriots and ran it again if they didn't get it.
So I think I know what happened. This is what I think happened. They did the math. And he was at 990, and they assumed he was at 1,000 going into that play. But I think what they thought was, if there's a yard off or something, he needs one more yard at least, and he'd be fine. So like, they did the math. They added up like 8.
What did they add though?
They added like 823 and 167.
Yeah.
Right, or something like that. And they were like,
so they were 10 off, but they thought it was exactly even. They
thought it was exactly even. I'm pretty sure. And then they reran to make sure he got 3-4 yards. Now,
once they ran it the first time, he got like 6. I was like, no, do it again. And they didn't. So I'm like, what was the point of that?
Well, you can't call timeout there. Like that, I get.
I understand. I honestly, though, because it was Belichick, and it's not Salah all these years, but if I would have called 2 timeouts and ran it twice,
I would have too.
He can go fuck himself, of course.
100%.
And
we're consistent, though.
Play action. Throw a touchdown.
We're consistent. In 2021, when the Patriots threw like a bomb touchdown when we were down like 50 with 7 minutes left, we're like, what respect do we earn? Like, they can do whatever they want. Like, we're fine with doing that, and we're consistent. The problem is, if Salah was like, we had thought he was at 1,000, like we thought that, he said our mathematician. Like,
what does that mean? Who is that guy? Fire him. Just have a calculator instead.
You actually should fire. Like, we don't call for anyone. Like, we do call for people's jobs.
That guy should be fired.
You have to fire that mathematician.
It changes the history of the world. Now, when we're arguing later on, Breece Hall will have like 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He could have had 7.
I think I had a tweet ready to go. I think it was a Quinnen and Jermaine got to Zappy, and he rolled out. Like, I don't know how he got out of it. Quinnen hit him. Jermaine whiffed on him.
And then Mosley tried to kill him.
I was gonna tweet, add a half a sack to both Jermaine and Quinnen.
Oh, dude, we do this all the time. I have like some notes. It'd be like Darnold had like 6 extra passing yards, like bad penalty, 2018. Gotta look back. Man.
You balling tonight?
Yeah, I probably got to go now.
All right.
I gotta
Well,
go do it.
if you made it this far, we're trying to get to 1,300 subscribers. So go ahead, hit subscribe, comment, reply. If you want to join the Discord, DM us on Twitter. Mike, any parting words for the fans?
The Jets are winning 12 games next year. So
12-5. Have a good night, buddy.
peace.